Hey students, this video covers exercise 5A. We're going to focus on long documents and threading text. InDesign is that program. It's complex. It will bring everything together, and it does also offer animation, interactive elements that are wildly powerful. So this is definitely the program that will kind of be the vehicle for what we need to do for production also. So with that said, we're going to do a little sample of how one might create a long document. So launch InDesign and go ahead and first, before you launch InDesign, you might want to hit pause and download the images that I've uploaded in JetNet for you. There are 4 images. All of them are, I believe there's 4 lemon images and 2 lime images, or 2 lime vector images. They are all located in a compressed folder, so you're going to have to download them and make sure they're readily available for the next exercise. So you want to have that ready first before you even do exercise 5A. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is launch InDesign and then create a new document. And like we normally do, you can create new, or you can do file, new. It's taking mine a little bit of time here. Of course, let's name this last name underscore 5A. And then I like to change picas to inches immediately, and we will let it default. If yours doesn't default to 8.5 by 11, make sure it says that. And then you're going to keep facing pages on this time. Last time I told you to uncheck it. This time you're going to check it, and you're going to want to have 5 pages. Okay, and then let me see. Columns, we're going to say 3. Hopefully that's defaulted. We're going to start at the page number 1, and your column gutter you can let to default. The margins 0.25, I do like that. Make sure your settings are the same, that chain link is selected. And then you can ignore, well actually, no, I want you to have a bleed, which is 0.125 space IN, tab, make sure all settings are the same. You've got a bleed going around the entire document. Okay, and then next what I want you to do is slug is 0, and then make sure you go ahead and say create. All right, I'm going to close that for a moment. What you'll notice if you scroll down is that, oh, okay, I've got 1 page here, 2, 3, 4, 5. So to remedy this, you want to make sure that the pages are dragged and dropped very carefully. One thing you can do is go into this little options panel and make sure you have allow selected spread to shuffle or allow document pages to shuffle unchecked, and then you can go ahead and you can move things very carefully. Kind of got to hover. You can see that little mark. Here, I'll show you. There we go. And then I'm going to click and hold and drop there. And of course, do the same here. There we go. It's kind of weird. It doesn't, it's very picky. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then, of course, I want that to be a left-hand spread. Okay, there we go. You gotta wait for the little arrow, and then it allows you to move it. So now we've got, you know, the first 2 pages. Close that now. Have a bleed. They have 3 columns each. And so there's a spread up here, a spread here, and then 1 single page at the bottom. Okay, the next thing you want to do is we're going to use the type tool to create an invisible box around the 3 columns on the first page. So we did this before. Go to the type tool in the toolbar, create an invisible bounding box, and then what you have is your cursor blinking. We're going to go to type, fill with placeholder text. Of course, we have all this text on Minion Pro. I personally will quickly want to change that font to something like Myriad, a nice sans serif. I'm going to do regular, Myriad Pro, regular. Okay, something a little easier to read. And then I also noticed that I want my columns to be 3. So you can either open up your document to show that part If you don't see your control panel up here, go to Window Control. I'm not seeing, I've got to go to my selection tool to select the text to get to my columns. They actually look like this. That's the little column icon. 3. And you can see how they change. So you can't be in the text tool doing that. You have to be in the selection tool in order to do that. It's a kind of a bizarre thing because you'd expect it to be in the text, but you're not. Okay, the next thing you want to do is pay attention to this little outport here. And that you want to make sure that, first of all, you're aligned with the margins, and then click on the outport with the selection tool, that is. I'm still in the selection tool. And you notice if I hover, I'm not clicking on anything, but you can see that my cursor's loaded. That is all the text that fell behind the frame when I filled my text. And it does that, InDesign allows you to fill it with all that Greek placeholder text, and then it allows you to do as much as you want. So now I'm going to hover over to the upper left-hand corner of this page and just click, and then it automatically places a column down here. What I want you to do now is open up that, and then you can make that object text frame options, number of columns, I'm going to make into 3. Of course, you can also do that on your control panel like we did a little while ago. So I'm going to do a Control-All, Control-Copy, or Command on the Mac, and then paste. I'm going to paste so that I now have another output filled with text. This doesn't really tell you how to do that in the instructions, but hopefully you're all looking at the video. I'm going to do that here too. Obviously, it just stops at a certain point, so I'm going to make sure that, again, this is object text frame options, 3 columns. Say OK. You can copy and paste these too, but I wanted to show you how to thread. So if we do select all, see what happens? This text is all connected. So when I do select all, I'm selecting more text. Paste. There I have that output again. Go to my selection tool, select on the output, click again. Of course, we don't get much text from there once again. And then you can go up here to your columns to change, or object text frame options, 3, okay. And then again, we've got that output down here. I'm going to click it, load my cursor, go to my very last page. Click. Okay, object, text frame options, 3 columns. I'm just hitting paste. We'll just let this very last output be. Okay, so now we have all pages filled with text, and I want you to know that when you select, you can kind of change the connection between each one also. We're not going to do that, so I didn't click anywhere else. But now that you kind of get the hang of what's happening, you can understand now when people are building long documents for catalogs or something of that nature, how they can quickly thread text from one page to the next. And then if you look, if I move this text frame down, all this text sort of rethreads and rewraps as well. So it's a really powerful, interesting, and necessary thing for designers to have that capability of moving their text around. Okay, so the next thing I'd like to talk about is we're going to place the images that we downloaded from InDesign or from JetNet into this document. So you want to do that, and I want you to evenly distribute those on each page. There's 6 of them, so you can do maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you know, we have a couple of vectors too. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to do a Control D or a file place, and then I'm going to go like this. Exercise links. My first lemon 1. I'm going to click here. So you notice it's rather large. So again, we can go to that scale tool, double click, and make that 20. That seems to be close, but I can just hover over to my lower right hand side, hold down Shift Command, and scale that proportionately. Now I do want to now go to my window and my text wrap. And for each image, you're going to want to do this. I do want to jump object. So I'm also going to add a little bit of space. So you can see this little guide here. It's an invisible guide showing what kind of space. And if I keep opening it up, it bumps over into the next column. So I don't really need it to be that big, so I can shrink that because I do still want text, but I want a little space between the image and the copy. Okay, so there's one image. I'm going to now File, Place, or Control D, my next lemon image. Okay, and I'm going to double click. I'll let it default to 20. Play around with this one. I think what I can do here is make it a double column image. Control, Shift, click and drag, or you can scale that one as well using the scale. And then I will go ahead and use the text wrap. I'm going to jump the columns. There we go. And just continue on throughout the document to do this, making sure that you have a text wrap. We've only got 6 images. Okay, of course I want to add a little bit of space there. I might want that to skip 2 columns. I might even want that to come in from the top somewhere, like so. All right, do another one. And of course, when you're using stock photography, you always want, if necessary, to credit the source. So I got these images from pexels.com, Pexels.com. Okay, so there's another one. And then I have 2 vector images. That was one of them. It's a ping file. I'm just going to click outside here. You notice with the ping, it didn't do what I wanted it to do. So I'm going to try and push that towards the bottom so it's not as apparent. I do want it to have a text wrap. And I'm looking around to see, wonder why it's not picking up the clipping path. So if it doesn't pick up a clipping path around an object, you're going to want to go to Object, Clipping Path, Options, and then you're going to find Detect Edges and say OK. And you can kind of see what's happened now. And this only is the case with a clipping path Photoshop image or a vector graphic ping file. So that's the only way you can do that. So go ahead and place the other one in, and then when you're done, I want you to save this as lastname_5a, and then upload this as a compressed zip file to the JetNet submission link. And I'll see you in the next video.